Our industry is evolving quickly, more than I have seen in my time in the industry, which has been a while. And I think it's great for our industry. I really do. I think it's so positive that we're being challenged to explore our entrepreneurial capability, our innovative capability, and to expand and invest in a way that improves cycle time of innovation.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Future of GovCon. This is a weekly podcast to bring together experts from across the industry and look at what's happening today and how it's going to impact the future of our industry. I'm Jake Frazer. I'm the owner and CEO of Precision Talent Solutions. Leading one of the industry's top executive search firms, I get to talk to influencers every day. C-suite executives, board members, growth leaders, top government officials, military flag officers. And on this podcast, what we're doing is we're bringing in these experts from AI, from space, from medical, from logistics, from engineering. And we're sitting down and talking about what's happening in their specific area of the industry and how it will impact the future. So pour a cup of coffee and let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Future of GovCon. This week we have a great guest for you. This is one of the legends of the industry, one of the leaders in many ways across the industry. We're so lucky to have with us today the CEO of Amentum, Mr. John Heller. John, welcome to the podcast.
Jake's great to be here. Thanks for having me. Look forward to the conversation.
This is a real honor in many ways, John. You've done so much for the industry, and I think you know it, but back in the day, you were actually my first customer when we first started PTS, I think 9 years ago. We came in and helped you on one of your embassy programs and worked with Dan Corbett and Rich Green and that team. And you are our first paying customer. And we've always enjoyed supporting you through your whole career arc over the last decade.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that's been 9 years. Congrats on your end. That's tremendous.
Well, it's been a lot of fun, and it's been fun watching what you've been doing across the industry, especially here with Amentum. I think everybody knows Amentum, but a little bit of an intro for John and a little bit about his career, because he probably wouldn't talk about himself too much. He's been the CEO of Amentum for the last 4 years, and Amentum is many things. It's an advanced engineering and technology solutions company, and over 50,000 employees worldwide in 70 countries, around $14 billion in annual revenue, which is a little bit more than PTS, and a truly global company. And I've had the pleasure to meet so many people across the Amentum enterprise. It's clear they wear the same culture that John has helped build from the top of the org chart. It's been really impressive. And for those that don't know Amentum, I'm sure you know, and you've worked with some of their legacy companies, the legacy AECOM management services, which was also Washington Group, and some other companies, URS, long time ago. Also, the recent merger with Jacobs, which John may want to talk about, the acquisition of some of our favorite companies out there, PAE and DynCorp International. All that's come together into this market-leading company called Amentum, and John is doing a great job as the CEO there. So congratulations on what you've literally built over the last 4 or 5 years there at Amentum, John.
Yeah, no, tremendous job by so many people. I think what people miss about this industry, and I worked a lot outside of this industry. I got into this industry by accident, but how entrepreneurial and innovative this industry really is. I mean, you think of some of the things we're working on, they're some of the most advanced engineering and technology projects in the world that we're doing for the US government, our allies, and our industry itself. It's constantly evolving. A lot of small business growing, being acquired, consolidating, bringing technology together to create these complex solutions that we do for our customers. This is an exciting workplace. If you're a business student, an HR person, a contracts person, or an engineer or a technologist, this is a great place to work. And I just love it with the excitement that we deal with every day.
It's amazing. It's truly dynamic. And I think you said on the last earnings call something to the effect of, Amentum is the right company at the right time right now. And before we go into your background, just I wanted to lead off like Amentum it's a lot of different companies that have come together under one brand. I remember the first time I heard the brand, I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And but you built this brand through some incredible companies, some acquisitions, and but what makes the culture and the people of Amentum special? Like what makes your team say I'm part of Amentum?
Yeah, we talk about at Amentum that we do advanced engineering and technology for some of the most complex problems and solve these with different solutions. So it sounds like it's all about advanced engineering and technology. But really what Amentum is about and what has enabled us to integrate cultures and create and grow this company so significantly is that really it's about having a purpose every day supporting the national security of the United States and our allies. And that purpose is really at the core of our culture. So when you think about it, everybody needs a job, get a paycheck. We get it. That's just part of life. But I think when you talk about our industry in a company like Amentum, like we really are excited to go to work every day because we know that what we're doing is supporting the United States in a very significant way, or our allies, our key allies, in some way helping other people. So our employees, like they love what they do and they take our what we do very seriously. So there's more to working at a place like Amentum and having this purpose. I always talk about it like what we're we're coming together and working together in a way that doesn't happen at other companies. Like we really support each other as employees or our partners or our customers. We're all in this together to achieve an outcome that is so essential to the success of this country, the success of helping people around the world. And that makes working here completely different. And, I just say I want to thank our over 50,000 employees across 70 different countries for what they do every day in solving, the world's most complex problems.
You have built a great team. I've had the pleasure of working with so many of them. You built some great leaders and coached and built and developed a lot of leaders that are still in Amentum and others are out elsewhere in industry. You can tell when there's one of John Heller's guys or gals. You can tell that focus on the mission, the savvy, the financial savvy, the entrepreneurial spirit, even if if they're in big companies. You built a great culture there, John.
And, it's not just me, Jay. I have been so impressed over my career in this industry by the other leaders that I've had the pleasure to meet and work with from, my peer companies. And one thing that is consistent is these are great Americans, great people that are doing, purposeful work for our country, for our allies. And I've enjoyed getting to know these people. These are people that I watched lead my peer companies. They've since left the industry, but they paved the way for us to be here and um, and really set a high standard of ethics, of values that we represent as an industry. And I'm really proud to be a part of that legacy.
Talk about a little bit of John Heller growing up. Um, what shaped you? You went to West Point, and I can't hold that against you. I'm an ROTC guy, but talk a little bit about growing up, being a student, that path you chose that took you into the military.
Yeah, as anyone that knows me knows well, what really kind of defined that is, growing up in Pittsburgh. It's a great city. My dad worked in the steel industry, watching the steel industry really collapse in the 70s, but the city persevered and had a vision for itself, that the strength that that city had in being the world's steel capital and being proud about that, but understanding that it was time to reinvent itself. And we all understood that, that idea that things evolve and we're going to continue to be a great city regardless of what happens. And I lived during that time. And of course, the Steelers in the 70s win 4 Super Bowls, the Pirates win 2 World Series, and to see this city persevere and to where it is today as still a leader in education and medical, I'm proud to have been a part of that. And it just built that work ethic, that innovation and entrepreneurism that you can knock us down, but you can't knock us out. You have to keep going. And I think that kind of excited me to push my boundaries, and choosing to go to West Point I knew was going to be really challenging, but I was going to take the hardest challenge that my life could throw at me. And that's the path I wanted to go. And then of course, from West Point, it's just been a series of choices that I have made to try to pursue the harder, more challenging path and push myself to do things that I probably thought were not possible, and take those challenges on, that enabled me to get the experience and the background that I was able to get, in the military and leadership and problem solving, but then in the workplace, in the commercial workplace of finance and accounting and marketing and sales, making sure that I took the opportunity to work in all those areas and face those challenges that each aspect of business throws at you, so that I understood all that. And I was a salesperson, and having to be on the phone every day, hours a day, trying to make sales, go do that, go challenge yourself in trying to do that. That is what can make you a great leader. And being a CFO, having that diverse repertoire, then you're able to take on a CEO position in the future, or a general manager, or, a president of a business unit, because you've worked in each of those functional areas and understood what your employees are having to deal with every day, whether they're doing marketing or sales. It doesn't matter. They're all challenging jobs.
That's right. Was there anything in your was there a defining moment in your military career that helped shape who you are as an executive?
Well, I remember being in Germany, and you probably heard of Reforger, which
Oh, yeah.
was Return to Forces Europe, and we used to have those exercises. We used to do that quite often. But then my third support command commander, I remember, was a 1-star, really hard charging, and he wanted to do what's called a reconstitution, which they hadn't done since World War II, where a unit would leave the battlefield. When I say unit, this is like a brigade size, leave the battlefield and be reconstituted. So brought back up to combat ready. So typically what happens is the equipment, the supplies, the personnel degrade to a level on the battlefield where that unit is no longer effective. You then bring it back behind the lines and reconstitute that unit, having medical, personnel, maintenance, and other services that bring that unit back up to service. And I remember us doing that in Germany, and hadn't been done, like I said, since World War II. We did that reconstitution. That was such a challenge from a project management standpoint. And my battalion commander picked me for my battalion for the maintenance element of that, to be the project leader. And I didn't really have a playbook to turn to, because you had a regulation that kind of laid out what reconstitution was, but nobody had done it in so long. So having to do that and take on the responsibility for that, accomplish that with the help of a ton of people, of course, but to do that was something that, told me that I can lead these things. I can do this. And it gave me confidence to really push myself going forward. I always think back to that challenge and those leaders taking a chance on me to do that.
What was your off ramp from the military into industry? What did that look like? Were you your first job? How were you recruited? How did you do that transition?
Yeah, everybody has the opportunity to get recruited out of the military as an officer and go to work for a company. I had never taken a business class in my life, and I didn't think I was ready to just make that jump. So I made the decision to go back to graduate school and work full time on my graduate degree to learn business. I think that was a great decision in hindsight. A lot of my friends, peers, just jumped right from the military into the workforce. I took out a loan for my entire cost of my graduate school and felt that, it would be better to take the time to really learn business. I did that, and it opened up the aperture of job opportunities exponentially coming out of the military. I was able to get a job with Deloitte in the consulting field, which kind of enabled me to work with other businesses, really to see how businesses operated from my first job all the way through. I did consulting for a while, but really consulting on how businesses operate and helping improve the operations of business so that businesses could be more efficient in how they do their work. By having the opportunity to have a job like that gave me the background that enabled me to move into leadership roles and get hired from my consulting job into a business leadership role. It was like that deep understanding of how businesses operate and how you do it efficiently that I learned at Deloitte that really helped me in my business career.
That's an interesting move. Not many people do that, but I mean, getting an MBA and then going out and basically helping companies fix themselves is a great way to get perspective and get ready to have a
Yeah.
successful career.
And there's a lesson there, Jake, if for any young leaders or younger leaders that are listening, that this isn't when you're talking about your career in your 20s or early 30s. If there's one lesson I could say, and I do, I go back to the universities, I talk to young students. I say, it's not about the money in your 20s. Where you really make money is in your 40s and 50s and 60s. What you're trying to do is build your experience in your 20s and early 30s, which sets you up for the best jobs in your mid 30s and beyond. But too often people make decisions based on, I really want to get a
Yep.
BMW or
Yep.
I want to get this job because it pays more. Fortunately, I didn't have any money coming out of the military and money wasn't my top priority. It was the job, the experience. I was able to make that decision to go get my graduate degree and have no money and go work, which opened doors up to opportunities that wouldn't have been available to me if I was just focused on money and having a fancy car and so on.
Very valuable advice. And I think a lot of people that we coach, we try and get them a target to go for, right? And then a path to get there. And we talk a lot about wealth function. What makes you rich? And it's typically not money, right? And it's learning new things, it's helping people and building that pathway. What a great career, a track record of working Rentport, Netco, Multimax companies I never heard of. Of course, Harris, everybody knows, Ingility. And then, what must have been a great time for you is also as the president and CEO for PAE, which you led for 8 years and took public, which was a very heavy lift, I'm sure, to do that for such a diverse company.
Yeah, that was a great experience. What a great company. What a, with a history of supporting the US government and our allies in such a meaningful way. PAE during Vietnam had nearly 30,000 employees supporting the US government. And it's very important to the history and to the soldiers that were there. If you meet Vietnam vets, they know
Yep.
PA&E
PA&E,
and
my dad
and
called it.
and how they couldn't survive without them, how PA&E was always there with them. And that was core of the culture of that company, how we are with our customers wherever they are. And that was so important to everyone there. And it drove us to do extraordinary things. For me, the business lesson at PAE was, how do you take a company that is unbelievably strong in an area, but grow it into adjacent markets, right? Because you want to have diversity. That was our goal. We had this amazing company with this amazing history, but it was very narrowly focused. How do you take that great brand, great culture, and expand it into adjacencies? We did a few small acquisitions that opened adjacent markets. We knew how to do great work in large projects, but by acquiring small businesses that opened up additional access to the intelligence community, as an example, buying a company that gave us the experience with some of the intelligence customers. We took that PAE culture, the PAE know-how, and used it to expand into various three-letter agencies doing tremendous work for them. We had zero work when I arrived at PAE in the intelligence community. And by the time we went public, we had grown that part of our business to about 750 million. That was a great accomplishment by everyone, of having a focused strategy, great partner in the private equity firm that supported our strategy, being disciplined and focused over time on execution. It was not a big bang. We won
It's a
a
grind,
contract,
yeah.
and we had
Yeah.
to deliver, we had to prove, we had to lose a lot, but we stayed at it. Over time, the customers saw the great work we did and kept giving us additional opportunities, but it took years to make that happen. We were very successful in growing into an adjacent market there.
You got an incredible track record of working with private equity. And I know we've even talked a little bit one-on-one at the Greenbrier, kind of your philosophies around that. What makes it, I mean, private equity 30 years ago, even 20 years ago, wasn't looking at this market. And now private equity is lined up to make investments. The VC funds are lined up to make investments in government contracting. So there are a lot more options now, and the capital markets have changed around our industry. Um, what are your thoughts around working with outside capital, and how do you see that changing here recently?
Well, I think private equity is still very interested in our market. And as you pointed out, I think you go back to the 2000s, mid 2000s, early 2000s, and private equity really was at the forefront of seeing the opportunity in the GovCon market. It's really about cash flow. We have great customers that pay on time and have the budget to support the projects that we do. The other thing is just the growth of technology being used by government, and how the government wants to become more efficient, wants to have the latest technology in the defense and intel and homeland security to ensure the national security of our nation and our allies. So kind of a driving force of technology has really enabled this industry to flourish over the last 30 years, 25, definitely. Private equity saw this. They saw great cash flow and the growth of technology and the importance of technology to our customers, and how if we could bring together really smart people that can integrate those technologies, we could advance what's happening with government. And I think today it's no less important than it was 25 years ago. If anything, with China's rise of becoming a very strong economic nation, they have enabled the funding of government activity to grow significantly over the last 25 years. And so they've invested tremendously in technology, whether it's in defense or intelligence or other areas. And it's really it kind of made the United States have to prioritize what we do with advancements in systems that we're using in these areas. The government needs great companies like Amentum that can leverage great engineering skills and technology to integrate that into next generation space capability, next generation defense systems and intelligence systems, intelligence analytics. I don't see this stopping anytime soon. I think this is going to be a great market for the next decades. Private equity really sees that. They see the defense space and GovCon services a really smart part of their overall portfolio.
It's smart with Amentum. I mean, it's almost like you saw the future 4 years ago and see where we are today, with the growth in the defense budgets coming, the growth in European defense, the growth in homeland security, the growth in space and all these areas. And it's like you said on the earnings call, the right company at the right time we have right now with Amentum. So let's talk about some of the areas you're focused on. Let's talk space. I know you had a big hand in the recent successful launch of the Artemis II. Talk about what Amentum's doing on the space side, John.
Yeah, Jake, what I would say first is from a momentum standpoint, we have a really great strategy. We have our core businesses that have been around for literally decades, almost a century, and that's about 10 billion of our business today. But then we have our accelerating growth markets. That's about 4 billion of momentum, but they're being driven by generational demand cycles that are really strong, global demand, national security priorities. And the first one is global nuclear energy. And we can talk about that. It's really important, and AI is driving that. The second is critical digital infrastructure, building out the network infrastructure and data center infrastructure to support AI. And then finally is what you touched on, is this space systems and technology area where we're supporting, think about it as technology superiority of US space operations and exploration. And this idea that the space domain is a really critical domain in defense, in intelligence, and in industry. Putting a site on the moon where we can do advanced research and development and other types of commercial oriented support activities. That's really what the Artemis mission was designed to do, is to take the US space program to the next generation, where we're able to develop a rocket that is capable of going into deep space, bringing humans and payloads into deep space, and enabling the US to have a mission, an actual full-time mission on the moon, having that as a stepping point to go to Mars. That's what we've been working on to help really create that first flight mission, the Artemis flight that just launched recently. It's the success of that mission was a testament to the dedicated workforce of Amentum and many other companies that participated in making that successful. When you think about what we do, we support the ground systems at Kennedy to do the launch support and actually being the ones that bring that rocket to the site to launch. But we're also really critical in helping integrate the systems that create the launch rocket, working with the OEMs, the control systems, and testing all those systems and ensuring that that rocket can be integrated to a point where it's going to work every time. That's the key of what we do, is making sure that those systems are ready to go. I've talked about the purposeful work that we do,
Right.
about the next generation of human space exploration. That's what we're focused on. And it's really exciting.
Easy to get excited about that. So global nuclear energy, the critical digital infrastructure, the space systems and technology. And how's Amentum using AI now to scale and and to enter these kind of new exciting markets?
Yeah, as you can imagine, all companies, you have to, if you're not, you're definitely behind and
Won't be
probably not
around.
in a good position. Uh,
Right.
but so I think it's just becoming commonplace, where first you have to start with training your employee, making sure they have the tools, making sure that your IT backbone can support that in a way that for us in our industry is compliant with how you're able to use data that you have. When we think about it operationally, we're trying to use AI to improve how we operate efficiently. More importantly, how we're using AI to help our customers in a broad range of capabilities like intelligent automation, advanced analytics, language processing, AI for cybersecurity, using AI in a way that's transparent and that our customers approve. We're able to leverage what AI can do to improve the performance of things that we're doing for the customer. And I'll just give you a couple high level examples, not getting too specific. The idea of using AI to accelerate intelligence analytics. We collect vast amounts of data. Can you use AI to sift through that data and analyze vast amounts of data to improve intelligence sharing and decision making, right? The benefit there is it's about reducing time to make decisions, which then empowers mission success. Intelligence is a huge area. Having AI as a tool to help sit over systems, different types of systems that are operating infrastructure. AI can help you assess what's happening across that infrastructure, providing real-time awareness so that, again, you can make decisions to ensure those systems are operating at the highest possible level so that the mission is never impacted, right? We're reducing downtime to improve mission performance. The last thing I'd say is on supply chain. I mean, think about all the supply chains that the US government or our military is operating. And if you can use AI to improve workflow so that you're able to move materials from one area to another when they're needed at the lowest possible cost, but ensuring access to those assets that are needed so that you improve readiness and reduce downtime. These could be critical success factors in the things that our government's doing, whether in defense, homeland security, intelligence. So these are a couple of the areas that we're using AI, and I think it's only going to grow as we become more used to it being just a part of everyday life.
I think the beauty about Amentum is you have so much capability across all domains, across all services, and even across allies. That is, your AI capabilities become more ubiquitous. It's all underneath one roof, right? And so you're able to give our customer, the government, whatever government is, visibility across all the domains instead of just working in the silos, right? That's exciting. Super
Yeah,
exciting.
absolutely. These tools are amazing at being able to look at such a broad set of data quickly that gives you such better decision-making capability because of what you're able to see simultaneously.
It's incredible to think about. And so let's switch to the future because I do want to leave a little bit of time in the end to talk about your role at Professional Services Council. So let's shift to the future. And I'm very curious your thoughts on. Let's fast forward 3 years. So we're in 2029. Just broad strokes. We've been through this budget. We've been through the administration. I mean, lots has going to been through AI. What do you think the government contracting industry is going to look like in 2029?
Well, the first thing I want to thank you for seeing me in 2029 still being around as I'm getting older, you know. So, I really, that makes me feel good. It makes me feel secure and younger. When I think of 2029, it's going to be a really interesting, I use the word interesting place because I really see the market becoming more open. And as we thought about government contracting in the past, it was limited in terms of the speed, the innovation that we were able to introduce, the different procurement options, right, were limited. And I'm not saying it was bad. I think we accomplished some amazing things over the last 30 years, but I really like the trends of what we're seeing in commercial style procurement, as an example, just opening up the aperture and what's possible to where the government is more open. Like you can bring ideas. They're all ears. Like, hey, here's an idea. How about if we try this? The willingness, the culture of openness and willingness that we're seeing, I think, is creating a different opportunity for businesses as we can be more entrepreneurial. As the ideas are bubbling up within our companies, we can go and present these to our customers, and the openness that's there is so much different. I think we're going to enable a more agile, a more innovative marketplace, having the willingness to do more fixed price work and putting more challenge on the service delivery teams. I love that. I think that creates more entrepreneurism, and with that creates more innovation. I think we're going to see a lot more change in our field in the next 3 years than we've seen in quite a while, unleashing the creativeness of our industry, which is there. Some of the practices kept it limited. I see a more creative and more innovative marketplace over the next few years, and we're feeling it. Just the using AI is pushing us to move faster with our ideas. The door is open on RFPs now to be more creative and propose things. In the past, you would be nervous to propose things because you wanted to limit your response to exactly what the requirements were. And I think that the government is more open for companies to propose ideas.
There's so much need. You just hear about speed, and it's urgency, right? To innovate. When we were there at Greenbrier at the PSC annual conference, and Secretary Mike Duffy got up and talked about basically, hey, we're going to move fast. We're going to make some mistakes, but we're going to move fast. And we need to get this thing going. And I think if the macro trends on the budgets and this attitude from within this new procurement environment, I think it creates a need for a new kind of business development almost, right? A new
Yeah.
breed of business development talent that's not waiting on the draft RFP, but it's going to see the customer with an 80% solution saying, "Hey, I can get you where you want to be a lot faster. Let's partner together," right? It's a whole different attitude.
Right. Right.
Where,
Right.
and where do you see
Yeah.
it? Where do you see Amentum in 2029? I'm not saying John Heller. I'm saying
Oh,
Amentum.
come on. I'm still going to be around. Like, Momentum continues to grow globally. We're a key partner to many of America's closest allies, the United Kingdom, Australia. Australia is really leaning forward. You have AUKUS, you have nuclear power submarine technology going to Australia. Indo-Pacom is such a key region that we all know has been talked about. So I continue to see that entire region as being critical. Momentum has great presence in that entire area. We've been in Japan for 75 years. We've been in Australia for a long time, South Korea, Philippines, Guam, so many different areas. We're going to continue to expand in the Indo-Pacom region across Europe. Our strength in the UK, our workforce in the UK is world-class. That team there is helping us bring innovation and nuclear to the world. So I'm real excited about what's happening there, seeing that continue to grow for Amentum. And of course, the US is where we're laser focused to expand nuclear energy, see a renaissance in nuclear energy, SMR, small modular reactor capability come to life in both Europe and the US, with the demand for electricity growing so significantly as we see robotics in manufacturing, we see AI, and just the consumer demand for AI-driven applications is driving electricity demand and the innovation that that's going to create, and really fueling the US economy as a AI-driven economy, and allowing the US to continue to lead as the most innovative country in the world. We need more electricity. So I think nuclear is going to be a key feature of enabling the United States to continue to flourish economically and lead technology and AI around the world. I think Amentum's going to have a role in making that happen here in the US.
Exciting. Quickly, that you may have said already, your one word, describe your gut feeling about the future in the industry.
Well, I said interesting as a word, but I definitely think that it's evolving. Our industry is evolving quickly, more than I have seen in my time in the industry, which has been a while. And I think it's great for our industry. I really do. I think it's so positive that we're being challenged to explore our entrepreneurial capability, our innovative capability, and to expand and invest in a way that improves cycle time of innovation. I think that's all that's being asked of us. Our industry has such great leadership and expertise that we're going to be able to deliver that. I know at Amentum, we're embracing it. Challenge and innovation are the key words for the next 3 years.
Awesome. I want to leave a minute. Just, I know you're passionate about PSC and leadership, and you want to say a few words about kind of what you see going on at PSC and what's got you so excited.
Well, as you know, Jake, since you were at the annual conference a few weeks ago, I've just took over last December as the chairman for PSC. We have a great team there leading that organization. I'm just real excited about what PSC does for our industry and have been for decades. My role in being a part of that. The word I would get out there to everyone in our industry is I think PSC is a great representative for our industry, does great things on the Hill across government in representing what we're doing, the value that we deliver. But it's only as strong as the participation from industry. What I would encourage is all leaders. It's a great place to have junior and senior leaders participate to expand their understanding of the industry and their network within the industry that enables growth and innovation at your company. So I would definitely, encourage that if you have that one person, your PSC rep, it's not enough. You're missing an opportunity to get junior, mid-level, and other senior leaders involved to network and meet your next partner, your next opportunity to hear what companies are doing across the industry to innovate and win in our marketplace. It's great for business to participate. And the more participation we have from industry, the stronger the organization is, the more effective the organization is. So I'd ask that everyone go sign up for one of the activities over at PSC, one of the conferences, and you will meet probably your next partner there that's
Yep.
going to help you grow your business. And I know you know that and that you're involved in that case,
Great community.
and all the different great people that you get to meet and what the mentorship that I got out of being part of PSC, the lifelong relationships that I've built at PSC has been critical in my success in leadership across our industry.
Better together, and PSC brings everybody together. It's my chance to see you and Adam and Sean every year at the annual summit there, the conference. And I talked to Jim Carroll. You got a great new leader there for the association, and he's actually going to be on the podcast to go into some more detail about the things that PSC is doing for our community. So we're looking forward to that too.
Good. I'm glad you're going to do that. He is tremendous, really smart guy that understands government extremely well. And just all he wants to do is help our member companies, bends over backwards,
You can
Stephanie
tell.
over
He's
there.
always
just
like,
the
"What
whole
can I do to
team.
help you?" Yeah, he
That's
always
it.
says that. Yep. He has such a good
It's
attitude.
all in. It's all they want to do. Yeah.
Andrea, Cassie, I mean, it's just a great team over there at PSC. So, hey,
Yeah.
John, thanks
Yeah.
so much for being on. It's an honor and a privilege, and I know you're busy, so thanks for taking the time to stop in on the podcast. I'm sure the audience loved this today. So, really, from my first customer to, it means so much to me.
Yeah, no, I've had a lot of fun doing this. I can't believe it's over because I feel like we just started talking. There's so much more we could talk
We could.
about the industry and
We'll
about
bring you
what we're
back
doing.
on. We'll bring you back
Okay.
on. Well, for
Yeah,
sure.
this was fun. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this episode with John Heller. And we look forward to seeing you next week. We got some great stuff lined up for you. I say it every week because I believe it and I know it, that the future of GovCon is happening today. So stay tuned. See you next week. All right, so thanks for joining me on another episode of the Future of GovCon. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation and some of the bold predictions. If you did, take a second, share it on your social media, subscribe on YouTube. If you have any ideas for future guests or topics you'd like to have covered, hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm always there, and you can always learn more about precision talent solutions at pts.careers. Look forward to seeing you next week on our next episode.